He really wanted to get away to a place where nobody recognized his face. And what he didn't know was that time was already over. It was already too late to go anywhere where he would not be known.
Yeah, once at Barristers he talked about that he had just been on the phone with his mom, and that his mom said she had searched him on the internet and found out, and sort of told Jeff what he was doing. So I think that made Jeff really aware of the lack of privacy, because his mom was sort of recounting his life back to him that she'd read off the internet. So he realized that people were sort of taking notes on his life and posting them to the world.
His mythology could have only ended in one way, which is the way it ended, because of the path he was on. And that's sad, and I think my delusion was that I could do something about that, because that was also something I had a sense of from the first moment that I met him.
His voice was an instrument evoking reverie, a pure nature, beautiful things. It was magisterial like a pipe organ, yet natural like the northern lights. Jeff's voice made me want to build shrines, and I realize now that Jeff Buckley was a shrine to his voice.
When I was filming Jeff on the tour, really the videotape that I did of him was really a sort of side thing. I was really there to photograph, but I just bought a handy cam, and so it was really like just doing home movies. Very good.
If you follow me, help me out into the night, into LA.
After a while, they sort of became like a bunch of big brothers to me on the bus, and which was a really wonderful feeling, because they really accepted me into their road family, and really allowed me to do what I wanted to. And so they would pick on me a lot, I have to say, because I was basically the only girl on the whole stinky bus of guys, and they all smelled all the time. They were always dirty, and yeah, they would pick on me.
You big whopper, you with your camera, you whopper.
What does that mean?
You're a big black whopper.
I had known Jeff like a year and a half, 2 years before we ever played music together. We just would take walks and eat together, and listen to music and go hear music, and I would go hear him. And then he asked me to audition, and I got there, and I didn't have a strap for my guitar. I wasn't used to playing guitar standing up. I usually just did it sitting down in my house. So he got me a strap, but I still sat down.
never played guitar before this band. Or he's played guitar, but he's like never been in a band before, so he's always starting from scratch. That was pretty cool.
And once the record came out, you know, I think it hit like a certain amount of success, and in Europe and places like France and stuff, it like got like popular really quickly, and we went there a bunch, and that was really exciting to experience, like, you know, audiences like that were really ravenous and like felt a lot more pagan than ritualistic, and like people were fainting because it was so hot, and like, you know, it had this other energy that was good, and I think everyone in the band fed off that.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Music Faucet here at WFMU. Tonight, a very special evening. Gary Lucas and Jeff Buckley comprise Gods and Monsters.
Jeff was like such a hilarious comedian and an amazing mimic. And one of the things that might get lost with people who didn't, you know, who only knew him through his records was his sense of humor in concert. You know, he might, you know, some of his more indulgent solo performances before he went on tour with the band were just, you know, comedy acts almost. I mean, he was that on, you know, he was always just such an incredible wit. But he was just a funny guy, and he could, like, you know, pick up anything and, you know, do, like, Smells Like Teen Spirit or, like, whatever the top hit of the day was.
Sometimes I feel like I don't have a card. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a pen. The city I live in, the city of angels, lonely yet I am.
Or a Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, you know, 15-minute song he memorized word for word. Anyway, he did this song, it's a Screamin' Jay Hawkins song, Alligator Wine, which was pretty funny.
Take the blood out of an alligator. Take the left eye out of a fish. Take the skin out of a frog. Or mix it all up in a dish. And a cup of pigs for water. And then count from 1 to 9. They only have left shoulder, and you got alligator wine. Alligator wine. Your first time.
She doesn't want a pony.
I promise.
I met Jeff a few times, I guess. before I felt like I really had met him. He was really capable of connecting. When he was present, he was really present. So he made you feel like you had known him for 150 years, and that you were the most important person in his world at that time. He had this just phenomenal gift in that way. There was one time that was fantastic where I was playing in Chennai, and he stood, I guess he was particularly up that night, and he stood, like everybody else was standing, but he stood like 4 feet from the stage, and just occasionally would make eye contact with me, but, effectively stood there like this beacon of support, and just sort of would be like, the entire time. And then the minute I put the guitar down, jumped into my arms and made me carry him around and stuff. I mean, he was very, playful like that. That was, great. I mean, that way of his generosity in that way was just like no one else I've ever encountered.
Chennai was fantastic, but it was a very distracted kind of a place. It was really a coffee shop, and people would come and look in the windows, and so he came here. He came over to meet me one day. He wanted to check out the room before he would agree to play. It was 8 years ago, so he was very young. I'm not sure how old he was, but it was something like 24, maybe even younger. But he was young, and he was pretty green too. I thought he was really amusing because he knew how great he was, even though there were only 30 or 40 people coming to see him at the time. But he knew that he was very special, I think. And he liked the room enough. We had lunch together that day, and then he played here about once a month.
I think the reason he really wanted me to photograph him wasn't just a matter of whether I was talented. It was about the way in which I saw him. I mean, I love Jeff very much, and I think, but through the photography, he had a reason for choosing me, that it was really obvious the way I felt about him, I think, in the work that I did. And he wanted to be portrayed with that loving eye, with a certain lovingness. When I went on the tour with him, when I first got there, I think things were a little funky. I don't know if I can really talk about that